This video is brought to you by Manscaped. Use promo code OLIVE for 20% off and free shipping on any products on their website. Link in the description. Enjoy the video. 2021 spring training is officially underway, which means we get to see many things as baseball fans. The return of franchise faces, up-and-coming prospects, and serious overreactions to games that don't even matter. But one of my favorite things about spring training is seeing the long shot guys, the guys that have an unlikely bid at landing on the opening day roster because they make for some of the more interesting stories headed into the regular season. You know, the one-year wonder type guys, the guys that flamed out. We've talked about them plenty on my channel before, but it got me thinking about another breed of baseball player. The guys who were only up for about a year or so, succeeded while they were here, and then all but vanished from Major League Baseball altogether. You could call it short success, you could call it brief brilliance. I've come up with a ton of alliterations for it, but for one reason or another, these guys got 100 plate appearances or 5 starts, and then they were gone. For sometimes injury-related reasons, and for sometimes no reason at all. I've picked out 7 players that I consider forgotten by Major League Baseball, and if you can remember even one name here, then I believe you to be a true baseball fan. So without further ado, here are the players that MLB forgot. Dial the clock back 5 years. We're headed towards the 2016 World Series and we're in the American League Championship Series between the Cleveland Indians and the Toronto Blue Jays. Who is Cleveland giving the ball in Game 5, a game that could send them to the World Series? Think of your answer. You ready? It's not Corey Kluber. It's not Trevor Luba either. Not Danny Salazar. And nope, not even Josh Tomlin. If anyone got Ryan Merritt, I commend you, because I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years. The Indians selected Merritt in the 16th round of the 2011 draft, and he started Game 5 of the 2016 ALCS, just his second Major League start. Crazier than that, he pitched pretty well, pitching 4 1/3 shutout innings against Toronto, giving up 2 hits and striking out 3. He was one of only 2 pitchers in MLB history to have started just 1 game in the regular season before pitching in the postseason, the other being Matt Moore. Matt Moore found a contract with the Phillies headed into the 2021 season, but no one's heard from Ryan Merritt in a few years now. Despite pitching excellently in 5 starts between 2016 and 2017 and being a valuable piece for the Indians during their playoff runs, Ryan Merritt has faded into MLB obscurity. Over 5 big league starts and a few relief appearances, Merritt compiled a 1.71 ERA, a 1.13 WHIP, a 3.7 K per 9, and a 1.1 walk per 9. His minor league stats aren't as dominant, but they're still very respectable and would probably place him at a major league level, but he hasn't seen major league action in 3 years. He's been pitching in the Dominican League for the past couple years with mixed results, and that's really the whole story on Ryan Merritt. And by the way, he's probably the most recognizable name here, so if you didn't get him, you're in for a rough go. Let's stay both recent and in the Central. Our next guy is Steve Selski, and if you haven't heard of him, you're probably not a Cincinnati Reds fan. But in the short time he had in the major leagues, he did some serious damage. He was taken by the Reds in the 33rd round of the 2011 MLB draft and was called up to the major leagues for the first time in May 2016, so props to him for getting there. On September 26th of that year, Selski went 5 for 5 with a home run and 4 RBIs in the Reds' 15-2 rout of the Cardinals. This was Selski's only career multi-hit game. I don't have the resources to research this, but I'm confident that Selski is the only player in Major League history to have 1 multi-hit game, with that 1 game being a 5-hit game. Sadly, he was DFA'd by the Reds in January of 2017, and that would pretty much be the end of the story for Steve Selski, despite his strong performance in his limited showing. 16 hits and 51 at-bats, an 810 OPS, and average fielding all around. His minor stats are pretty good too, an OPS over 800 to be exact. Selski's family was full of talented athletes as well. His father, a former ball player, his mother, a national volleyball team player, his twin sister being a 2-time All-American, and his wife Brittany a soccer player. So we stayed local between Ryan Merritt and Steve Selski. Now, let's go across the globe. Glenn Williams signed with the Atlanta Braves in 1993 as arguably the best prospect to come out of Australia. He played 1,260 minor league games, and in 2005, he played in 13 games for the Minnesota Twins, recording a hit in every single one. He remains very active in Australian baseball to this day, and in the history of MLB, there have been 32 players from Australia. 12 of those players have spent at least part of their career in the Minnesota Twins organization. Crazily enough, even with his strong performance, the numbers you see above would be his major league career numbers: 17 hits and 40 at-bats, a 141 OPS plus, and a 902 OPS. Glenn Williams would get shoulder surgery in 1999, and he knew immediately that something was off, and his play was never really the same. But he's been a part-time scout for the Detroit Tigers for the past 10 years, ever since the end of his playing days.
And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game.
Is there anything better than the fresh mowed grass at the ballpark on opening day? How about freshly groomed balls? My sponsor at Manscaped, the global leaders in below-the-waist trimming, are here to help you strike out your bush for good. It's a whole new balls game, folks, and Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. So join the movement. Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created, the Lawn Mower 3.0. The Perfect Package 3.0 also comes with the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver. The Preserver is anti-chafing ball deodorant to keep your balls sticking to your legs from end to end. What a curveball from the norm when I'm at the ball game. The Crop Reviver is spray-on toner for your balls. It's made with soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts that will give your balls a boost. Manscaped even threw in their Shed travel bag to keep all your goodies stored comfortably. Speaking of comfort, the Manscaped anti-shaving boxer briefs are also included and will bring your boxer game to the next level. Complete your top-to-bottom grooming game with the new refined cologne signature scent by Manscaped. I mean, talk about the ultimate utility, man. Manscaped is like the Mike Trout of ball trimmers. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code OLIVE at manscaped.com. Hit the ball, or balls, out of the park this season with Manscaped's Perfect Package 3.0. Once again, that's code OLIVE for 20% off and free shipping off any products on their website. How about we stay recent again, this time with Jeremy Hazelbaker, who made his claim to fame as a St. Louis Cardinals outfielder. He was originally taken by the Boston Red Sox in the 4th round of the 2009 draft, then he was flipped to the Los Angeles Dodgers and subsequently released before signing a minors deal with the Cards. He made their 2016 opening day roster and hit 2 home runs in his first 4 career games, joining Joe Cunningham as the only Cardinals to accomplish that feat. Hazelbaker would rise to stardom quickly, batting .317 with a .357 on-base percentage, a .683 slugging, 5 home runs, and 13 RBIs in the month of April. Not to mention, he also had a 4-hit game in the month. It was looking like Jeremy Hazelbaker was going to be a problem. However, things just kind of fizzled out after this month. He'd be claimed on waivers by Arizona a couple months later and then bounced around between the Twins organization and the Rays organization before finally landing in the KBO in 2018. If you're a baseball nerd, you could argue that Hazelbaker is one of the more recognizable names here, but his rise to stardom and his fall from it was so quick that it barely caught the blink of an eye. An .827 OPS and 116 OPS plus in his short time in the major leagues is nothing to scoff at, though. Okay, we got another guessing game. This one's a lot harder, as if the last one wasn't hard, but 2017 Boston Red Sox Bullpen. Take a second to think. What are the names you can think of? How about Matt Barnes before he was a closer? How about Craig Kimbrell before he was ass? How about Joe Kelly before he was the father of the Houston Astros? Or former Met Addison Reed? Or maybe even Heath Hembry, who stayed with the club for a while? The one guy you're definitely missing is Austin Maddox. Did you even recognize his name? Because he did pitch in the postseason for the Boston Red Sox during 2017, and he was a damn good pitcher down the stretch. Maddox was actually a 3rd-round draft pick in 2012, and he finished the 2017 regular season with 13 appearances, allowing just 1 earned run in 17 1/3 innings. Because of this, he made their ALDS roster and made 2 one-inning appearances against the Houston Astros. Shoulder injuries plagued his 2018, and by the end of 2019, enough injuries had set in for the Boston Red Sox to release him. Maddox retired in 2020. All we're left with is his legendary 2017, and it was exactly that. 13 games, an ERA below 1, a 7.3 K per 9, and basically no walks. His minor league stats tell a completely different story, oddly enough. But this spells the end of an extremely short story with Austin Maddox. What if I told you there was once a Phillies reliever who was actually really good at throwing baseballs? I know, just stick with me. Dalier Hinojosa, Dalier Heinenjosen, Daly Hinky Jinx, David Hasselhoff?
Dalier Hinojosa.
That's what I was going to say next. It was on the tip of my tongue. Dalier Hinojosa was a legend before his MLB days. In the 2010 World University Baseball Championship, Hinojosa threw a 7-inning mercy rule perfect game, striking out 16 in the process. He signed to the Red Sox on a minor league deal in 2013 and was cleaned off waivers by the Phillies in 2015. He'd be solid for them down the stretch, though this would not result in a postseason berth for Philadelphia. In his short time in Major League Baseball, he had some pretty fun career highlights, like striking out Alex Rodriguez as a member of the Red Sox. Through his short time in the major leagues, Dalier Hinojosa was dominant. A 1.59 ERA in 28 appearances, a 1.06 whip, a 7.7 K per 9, and a 2.9 walk per 9. His minor league stats weren't as elite. Hinojosa would return to Cuban leagues to finish his career, where he still pitches today. This leaves us with just one last player, and his story is probably the most peculiar. This entry takes us back to the beginning of the century. D.T. Cromer was drafted by the Oakland Athletics in the 11th round of the 1992 draft. He played in a total of 85 big league games, all with the Cincinnati Reds, and he performed really well. The 2000 and 2001 Cincinnati Reds teams were nothing spectacular, winning 85 games and 66 games respectively, so it's peculiar that Cromer couldn't find a consistent spot on their bench. But he made the most of his opportunities while he was there, batting .304 and 100 plus at-bats. He also clubbed nearly 150 home runs in over 1,000 minor league games, with consistent offensive production in each year in the minors. However, in 2001, after playing well, he declined an assignment from the Reds to AAA and decided to play for the Nippon Ham Fighters of the NPB, Nippon Professional Baseball, in Japan. And that was it. He stopped playing ball shortly after. No injury, no age-related issue. He was only about 30. He just kind of fizzled out. Most of the guys we talked about today simply didn't get another opportunity or got injured in some way, but D.T. Cromer just disappeared after raking for about a season and a half. Very strange. And that'll do it for our list today. I tried to find 7 guys that were obscure as possible and also successful in a short amount of time, so if you recognize any of the names or possibly all of the names, make sure you leave a comment down below letting me know how many you got. If you asked me with a straight face to name any of these guys before I did all my research, I'd be shit out of luck. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to watching spring training games and investing too much of my time into developing opinions off performances in games that don't matter. I'm the Jolly Olive, and I'll see you guys next time.